What's up guys? This is Chris with Dicot Designs, and this is Dogwood. All right, so right off the bat, this is a 2024 Mercedes-Benz Sprinter all-wheel drive 170-inch wheelbase, which we fully built out for our amazing client, Patty. At Dicot Designs, we really focus on vans that can go fully off-grid for an extended period of time, is super durable, made with high-quality materials, and can take you off the beaten path while also being a van that has a really warm interior, that is a place you really want to spend time in, and is also holistically designed around your lifestyle and the things that you want out of an adventure vehicle. With that being said, we specially designed this with Patty. Patty is based out of Texas and she's retired, has 3 dogs, and wants to travel around the US to see more of this country. We worked with Patty to design this van based around the many amenities that she was looking for, some of the systems and the materials she wanted to use, and we kind of came up with this van, Dogwood, and I'm super excited to show you what's all inside. Okay, so I mentioned going inside the van first, but actually we're gonna start outside the van. One of the biggest things you might notice on some of our builds is upgraded suspension, upgraded wheels and tires. It's one of the things that we definitely recommend to our clients as an upgrade for their van because the stock suspension on a Sprinter is fine until you start to add a lot of weight and you have a full build out with, water tank, electrical system, all this stuff. So for Patty's van in particular, we went with the Vancompass Topo lift system, the 4.3 system. So we've added shocks to the front suspension. We've replaced the shocks on the rear suspension and added some leaves as well. What's nice about the 4.3 system and the Vancompass system is that you have adjustability. You can have kind of a highway tighter suspension, so that reduces sway, especially if there's ever crosswinds. If you've driven a van in high winds, not fun. So having that stability can be really nice, especially when cornering. Then you have your 2 setting, which is really for everyday driving basically. And then you can dial it into 1, which is your softest suspension. So when you're going off-road and stuff like that, it can really, ease the burden of the bumps and washboard roads. With that said, we also went with 275 7017 KO3 tires on the van. We also have a full-size spare on the rear as well. And then we also went with the black Rhino Arsenals, which are just a great looking wheel. Along the sides of the van, we have the flatline Vanco runner boards or side steps. Those are really great because now the van's a decent bit off the ground. Want to make it easier to get in and out of the van. We also have these Baja Designs XL Sport A-pillar lights or ditch lights. So they kind of angle out a little bit off the road slightly so that you can kind of see what's on the side of the road, if deer's coming or something like that. Obviously want to look out for that sort of stuff. Up top on the van, we've got the flatline Vanco roof rack, and we fit a ton of stuff up there. Starlink Mini running on 12-volt power. Towards the front of the van, we've got a Max Air fan. And then in the back of the van, we've got a Nomadic X3 48-volt air conditioning unit. So that's a pretty big, pretty powerful AC unit on the back, which will help keep those dogs cool that Patty's going to be traveling with when she's going all across the country. Additionally, we were able to fit 600 watts of solar up there as well. So plenty of solar power to recharge those batteries. So when we work with our clients, one of the biggest things we try to figure out is the layout of the van. Where are things spaced? Sometimes our clients come to us with the layout in mind. They have it really dialed in. They know exactly what they want. But most often, clients come to us with a bit of uncertainty on what the layout should be, but kind of having a good sense of what they want to use the van for and some of the amenities that they want to have the van. So it's kind of this collaborative process. We can use our expertise from building vans to kind of help you figure out what would be the best layout for what you're looking for. So we really wanted to create something super special for Patty, and we went through a handful of phone calls to try to develop the design theme and how this van should really take shape from a design perspective. One thing that's cool about Patty is that she used to be a woodworker herself, and so she actually provided some wood for us to use and wanted walnut and bamboo to be used within this van build. Patty wanted the van to feel, you know, organic and connected to nature and kind of remind her of the mountains and the forests and all of that. And so you can kind of tell just from the general tones and colors in here how that took shape. So on the walls we have this Roman clay. I think the color is called Highland. So it's kind of like a plaster type material. It gives the walls a lot of nice texture. And then we use multiple coats of sealer on it to protect it and make it easy to clean. We wanted, again, this kind of organic feel in the van with a curved bamboo upper cabinet, and we have plenty of curves throughout the van too to tie that theme together. Patty is a religious person and connected to her faith, and she had mentioned how for the design theme, a dogwood flower could be a really nice way for her to remind herself and be connected to her faith. Patty, as a woodworker, provided us some beautiful bird's eye maple to try to incorporate into this van build. So we took that bird's eye maple and used it for inlays within the desk, or her sewing desk here. And then of course with this large main ceiling light fixture too. So we have 3 inlays of dogwood flower with that bird's eye maple. Oh, and then last but not least, in the corner, we kind of have this corner light. So we wanted to be able to provide light for the kitchen galley and some nice non-direct overhead lighting as well. And so we did a bird's eye maple inlay up there too with the walnut. And so we love the way that the maple and the walnut play together. And that's just a little bit about the design of the van. We've got these 2 swivel seats as well as the Broad Arrow 860 swivel seat. Again, super nice to have because we can still get, you know, from the front of the van to the back of the van really easily. You get a nice view out the side. And you have this communal space up top. So we have a mount for a lagoon table here. So we can all share, play a little bit of cards, have a good time when we're at camp. And Patty is going to be sharing the van with her family as well. So she'll be sharing it with her brother and her nephew. And they really want to be able to travel together or for one of the family members to take it for a little bit as well. So wanted to be able to seat 4 people comfortably in here. And then up front, we have a USB charger and an outlet too. So, you know, if you're hanging out up here for a while or if you're on a long drive, you know, the people in the back can charge up devices and all that stuff as well. Okay, so in this van, there's not a ton of windows. We wanted to prioritize, you know, privacy and insulation in this build, but we had to put a nice window in the slider door. One, I think having a window in the slider door is really valuable when you're making certain right or left-hand turns. It can actually be really valuable to be able to see out this window. But that said, this is a super cool awning window. This is a Van Windows Direct awning window. And it's really nice because you can actually open it up quite a bit. I mean, it'll open right up. And then it has a built-in bug screen that you can slide up like that. And then also, if you want some privacy, you can bring that right down as well. So we really like the functionality of this window. And it's not often that a window in a van can open up this big. So we really wanted to give Patty a really nice window for her sliding door. And that is what we've done here. One of the nicest things to have in a van is a big countertop. And so this is about 80 inches long. The countertop's made out of walnut. And on both ends, we have an outlet. So if you want to use your induction cooktop up front, you know, towards the front of the van, out the window, you can do that. If you want it towards the back, you can do that. Maybe plug in a coffee maker. We also have a USB charger here. So if you want to charge devices while you're sleeping, you can do that. On the end of the countertop, we also have this flip-up countertop extension if you want just a little bit more workspace. You'll also notice the cutouts, which are vents for the refrigerator in that dogwood flower form as well. The other thing I mentioned is that Patty's going to be traveling with her 3 dogs. So we got to keep those dogs happy. And so we put a hidden dog drawer that you may have seen in some of our past builds in this van too. and we put some big old bowls in there. So starting in the front, we've got an 80-liter Domestic fridge with a little freezer compartment as well that you can also remove if you don't need it. Above that, we've got a small utensil drawer. So that's great, you know, for all your utensils, your knives, your spatulas, all that stuff. Here we have the sink. And so we've got a deep stainless steel sink. We've got a soap dispenser because it's super annoying having to put your soap away, bring it back out, all that stuff. We've got the faucet with hot and cold water. I'll get into that in a minute. And then we also have this dedicated drinking water faucet. So we have a Guzzle H2O water filter mounted within the sink cabinet so that you get nice clean water coming off your water tank. Underneath the van, we have a 10-gallon gray water tank. So we drain right from here into that gray water tank. And then on top of the countertop, we have a switch, which just opens up that valve so you can drain it whenever you need to. And so with that, speaking of the water system, we do like to prioritize having that fresh water tank within the van so that you don't have to worry about your water tank freezing or your lines freezing quite as much. So underneath the bed, we have 35 gallons of fresh water coming into this water system. We actually are running a Rixen hydronic heating system as well. It offers forced hot air. It offers on-demand hot water as well as radiant heated flooring. It can actually take waste heat off your engine's coolant system and circulate it through the Rixen system, thus preheating your floors, preheating your furnace for your forced hot air, and then preheating your hot water as well. So it's a really nice holistic system, makes being in a van a lot more comfortable. And so that's kind of what we have stored in this rearmost column here. Above that, we've got a drawer just for general storage. Here, we've got a drawer for general storage too. And then below that, we've got an OGO composting toilet. There's a lot of different toilets that you can go for on the market. You can go for a dry flush toilet. You can go for a cassette toilet. We like composting toilets in a lot of applications. It kind of depends on how you plan to use your toilet. But we really like this OGO toilet. It's on heavy duty drawer slides rated for 500 pounds. And it separates liquids and solids, which actually helps deter a lot of the smell alone just by keeping those things separate. And it's really easy to dispose of the waste as well. Again, one of the big things that Patty wanted in the van was a desk for sewing. So we went back and forth on whether or not we should build the sewing machine into the desk or just kind of have an open desk. Patty ultimately landed on the idea of just having an open desk that is a little bit more utilitarian that way. As you can see, like I mentioned before, we've got that bird's eye maple inlay. Above the desk, we have the whole control panel for the van. So we've got the dimmer switches for the main light circuits. We have the control panel for the Rixen system and then the control panel for the EcoFlow system. In terms of the electrical system, we're running an EcoFlow power system with the 10 kilowatt hour battery kit, which basically equates to 800 amp hours of power. You want to have about 800 amp hours or more if you're going to be running an air conditioning unit in the van as well. And with Patty having dogs in the van, that's something she really wanted to have, of course, is air conditioning to keep her dogs cool. So we wanted to keep all the switches and everything in a really convenient, centralized location within the van because that can make a difference in how usable your van is, where those things are located, how easy they are to access. On this desk, on the front side of it, we have the storage for that lagoon table, so you can easily just take it out and mount it when you want to use it, but it's not taking up too much space otherwise. With Patty using this desk for sewing, we also have here just kind of a simple desk grommet, so she can actually drop the outlet for the sewing machine underneath here, and then she can also drop the foot pedal for the sewing machine underneath the desk too. And then up in this corner, look, another USB charger. Over here, we've got a handful of drawers. These are all soft close drawers with latches. And then, wanted to have this drawer storage, basically adding as much storage as you can within a van is really great. And, with Patty wanting to be sewing, we wanted her to have a space for all her sewing tools and stuff like that. Now, you'll notice here as well that there's no chair. And obviously you want to have a chair if you are going to be sewing. So in this floor to ceiling closet, you can open it up and we actually have a chair that we made a dedicated space for So we wanted to make it really easy. Oops, I did it backwards. We wanted to make it really easy to just get all set up. And you know, the other thing too is that we could have made the desk a little bit bigger, but what we didn't want was for the desk to be a big pain to get in and out of. So we kept it a little bit less deep so that you had that ease of use, and also keeping the layout feeling open. That's one of the big things that you really need to balance when you're in a van is, you know, making sure that the van is super usable and, you know, doesn't feel too crowded or anything like that. So you saw me pull this chair out of this closet. Now let's talk about this closet. So we designed this closet so that it could easily fit this chair in it, and also in a way where it was, you know, large enough so that it was easy to get the chair in, but tight enough to where we wouldn't have a ton of rattling with the chair or anything like that. Then we have two small shelves. This big section where Patty could hang a bunch of clothes, and then down low, a spot for her to be able to store her sewing machine. And then below that, just some additional storage. Right now we have a stool there so that it can be a little bit easier for Patty to get in and out of the bed. But it's really nice having this closet here, is just, you know, kind of breaking up the space a little bit too, kind of making your little bed cocoon back here, and then, you know, the more main living area up front. Aside from this, up top, we've got this GE microwave. So, you know, when you're on the road, you know, even if you're someone that doesn't use a microwave a lot at home, when you're on the road, you know, cooking just isn't quite as easy. So honestly, having the versatility to maybe heat something up in a microwave can kind of go a long way sometimes. All right, coming to the back of the van, we've got the bedroom. You know, like I said, since you have this closet here, it kind of breaks it up, you know? So yeah, let's call it the bedroom. What we did is we added flares to the back of this van. It's something that we, again, typically recommend with vans. It just adds so much more space to the livable space of the van and lets you run a queen size bed east to west in the van. So it's really valuable to have. The other nice thing is that we have some ventilation back here. So we have a sliding bunk window on the passenger side and an awning window on the driver's side. So that kind of gives that ventilation. And then we've got the AC unit here too, so you can really stay cool while you're in bed as well. So another thing you may have noticed is that we've got these upper cabinets running along the length of the driver's side of the van. Upper cabinets are so valuable for storage. You don't want them to be too big so that it doesn't kind of crowd your space, but at the same time, you want to have enough storage to store a bunch of stuff, right? You want to have storage that's easy to access, and that's the beauty of upper cabinets. One of the things that Patty requested was having a lot of lighting in the van. So we have an LED strip above the upper cabinet, and then we have an LED strip below the upper cabinet. And Patty really wanted to make sure that it would be easy to see everything that she has, not only in these cabinets, but all her storage in the van. So we've added motion lighting to basically every single drawer, cabinet, storage solution within the van. So they operate on these latches so that whenever you open them, the LED light turns on, and then whenever the latch engages, the LED light turns off. Another fun thing we did for Patty was to add a bit of an iPad mount to this upper cabinet. It's something that we've done in another van in the past. However, we had to get a little bit creative with the design because in that other van, there was no hardware here, but so this hardware would get in the way of that iPad mount. You can open up this cabinet, and then we have this insert here that actually engages with these latches. And that's something we want because that actually turns the motion lighting within the cabinet off so that you don't have it running the entire time. And then with some simple magnetic pads, you can just attach it to this insert, and now you have a little TV screen while you're in bed. Another feature we added to this cabinet in particular, because it's kind of like, you know, the TV area, we have a USB charger within this cabinet so that if you plug in your iPad and you're running low on battery, it doesn't mean you gotta end the party. You can just plug it in and keep the party going. Alrighty, so coming to the back of the van, we're coming near the end of the tour. Some of you might be relieved that I'm gonna stop talking, which is totally cool with me. But We've got the garage. So we've got the bed up top, and then we've got plenty of storage in the garage area back here. And then we've got these two cabinets. So the way we typically do it is one cabinet will hold the electrical system, one cabinet will hold the water system. On the passenger side of this van, since we have the kitchen sink and everything on that side, we've got the water system over here. So we've got that 35-gallon fresh water tank. We've got in here your water pump, your accumulator, your filter, as well as the drainage. So if you want to drain out your water tank and everything and winterize your van, you can easily do that right here. On this side too, we've also got an outdoor shower. So we're running an Aquor fill port here, and then a hot and cold mixing valve too. So you can take your outdoor shower as well. Right here, we've got a big heavy duty tray. So these are 500-pound slides. This is I believe a 36-inch tray. Typically in a van, you'll see a 60-inch tray. However, like I mentioned, Patty's gonna be traveling with 3 dogs. And so we wanted to be able to have this space, you know, for dog beds, stuff like that, a place for, you know, the dogs to kind of den up in there. We also added L-track to this tray in case Patty wants to secure her gear down in here as well. All right, coming over to the driver's side of the van, we've got this electrical system cabinet. So this is where the electrical system is, and you know, the electrical system has to have proper ventilation, and why not have a little fun with it, you know? So this vent design here is actually the design that inspired all of the other dogwood flowers that you saw throughout the van. So we had a little fun with that there. We have garage lighting here as well. We have 2 switches so that you can control these lights from the front of the van or the back of the van. And then we have the EcoFlow distribution panel there as well. So really easily accessible within the garage. If you need to check on things, check a breaker, check a fuse, you can do that there. And then on these rear doors, pretty straightforward, pretty simple, but we really like installing these Van Essential rear storage panels, I believe they're called. It can be nice to just have really simple, small, easily accessible items, you know, that you can store in here. So we love installing these things. They're a really simple upgrade and provide a lot of utility for the van. All right, guys, well, I hope you loved this tour of Dogwood. We loved building this van for Patty. If you are someone that wants to have a custom van built especially for you, don't hesitate to reach out. You can find us at dicotdesigns.com or on Instagram at dicot_designs, and we'll see you out on the trails.